Good morning. Surprising as it may seem, we are having difficulty getting past a certain hump. You have been trying to be still, trying to quiet the mind, and the harder you try, the more noise there seems to be. It feels like failure. It feels as if everyone else has discovered the secret and you alone have a runaway thought machine. But now, let us face this together. The very one who is trying to silence the mind is the noisemaker. Do you see that? The personal will that takes hold of the reins and says, "Be still," is the same selfhood that lives on tension, on comparison, on getting somewhere. And so, when you tighten that will, you magnify anxiety. Do you follow that? Now, the mind was never meant to be subdued by personal will. The mind is not a wild animal that you cage. The mind is an instrument that becomes quiet when the musician releases the need to perform. This is the hump. This is where the majority of spiritual students stumble. We imagine that stillness is an achievement of silence, a battle won by the stronger self over the weaker. But that is the old hypnotism. That is the spell. And the spell feeds on resistance. The more you fight, the larger the fighter becomes and the louder the arena. Do you see this? So our work this morning will be very simple. We are not going to conquer thought. We are going to withdraw attention from it and discover what remains. Not by effort, not by cleverness, not by another technique layered upon the last technique. We will simply turn within, gently, quietly, without drama, and let the center announce itself. This is not duality. We are not calling upon a far-off deity to come rescue us. We are proving that God is individual being. God is your being. God is my being. And in the recognition of that fact, the personal commander dissolves, and the instrument rests in its own music. Do you follow? For this hour, and more importantly, for the days that will follow, we will enter a small experiment. 3 minutes. Not 30, not 3 hours. 3 minutes in which you consent to stop wrestling. 3 minutes in which you say within yourself, "I am a willing instrument. I'm willing to be still and let you be God." No forcing, no bargaining, no mental policing. Only the gentle turning of attention from the parade of thoughts to the quiet fact of being. And you will find, as countless students have found, that anxiety begins to break precisely because you have ceased to feed it with your struggle. Now, I am not promising fireworks. I am promising grace. A sufficiency that does not come because you engineered it, but because you yielded and discovered it was already present. Thy grace is sufficient. We will make that our watchword for these 3 minutes, and over the days ahead, we will let that little interval become a doorway through which peace enters of its own accord. Do you see that? Then let us begin to walk through. Now let us be very clear, because unless this becomes clear, you will keep reaching for a trick, a device, a new way to outsmart your nervous system. This is not a technique. This is revelation. Stillness is not the achievement of mental silence. Stillness is the recognition, the felt recognition, that God is individual being. God is your being. God is my being. God is individual being. Do you see that? When it is recognized, not as a sentence in a book, but as a living fact in you, the compulsion to manage, to fix, to wrestle, drops of itself. Not because you conquered it, but because you awoke to what you are. Now this is the guardrail we must keep before us every minute. We are not turning to a God somewhere, over there, above the sky, outside the skin. No, This is not duality. This is merely a human form of turning within to the fact of being right here. I and the Father are one, not two. The place whereon you stand is holy ground, not because of geography, but because God is your being. God is individual being. God is your being. God is my being. Let it repeat in you until it begins to live you. Do you follow that? Anxiety, at root, is the belief that you are a selfhood apart, mind and will and body and future, left to manage life alone. That belief is the entire disturbance. It is not the calendar, not the bank book, not the diagnosis. It is that inner posture of apartness. And so the call of Scripture is not an ornament, it is procedure. Be still and know that I am God. Not be clever, not be strong, not be mentally blank. Be still. Withdraw attention from the personal manager, and know. I am is God as your being. How then do we begin? First, by an interior declaration that is not bargaining, not ritual, but consent. Father, I am willing. Be still in me. Let you be God as my being. I can of mine own self do nothing. Father, thou doest the works. Thy grace is sufficient. You see how this is not an attempt to produce peace. It is the relinquishment of the producer. It is the instrument saying, I will not play myself. Let the music play me. And in that yielding, even if thoughts still move, the center shifts. Silence or noise in the mind is secondary. The essence is this realized oneness. God is individual being. God is your being. God is my being. Rest there, lightly, honestly, without strain. Let the recognition deepen, and the old hypnotism, I must make this happen, will loosen. Then the activity of grace begins to announce itself, and you will find that peace is not something attained, it is something allowed. Do you see that? Now let us look quietly at why this thing called anxiety seems to persist even after you have touched, however lightly, that inner recognition. It is because you are meeting a suggestion as if it were a power. Anxiety comes not as your identity, but as a universal current. Claims, images, sensations, forecasts parading before the mind. What if, and then a picture. What then, and a tightening in the chest. Suppose, and a rehearsal of failure. It is a stream of suggestion. It is not you. Do you see that? It whispers, it jolts, it presents evidence from memory, from headlines, from the body's momentary chemistry, yes, but it never brings authority with it. The only authority it can ever claim is the authority you lend it by treating it as something to be fought. Suppose I come to you and say, 2 times 2 are 5. Will you strike me? Will you rush to the chalkboard and hurl erasers? No. You meet the error where it is, in thought, and you quietly know 2 times 2 are 4. You do not do battle with the person. You do not rearrange furniture to protect yourself from the error. You meet the claim within your own consciousness, and in the presence of truth, the untruth has no career. Do you follow that? Anxiety is the same. It comes by messenger, body sensation, news item, bank balance, a memory. But if you fight the messenger, you are in competition with an appearance. Where are you going to meet a belief except within yourself? And how do we make a belief seem powerful? By outer combat. by checking and rechecking and analyzing, by rehearsing conversations we may never have, by scrolling through reassurances, by collecting techniques the way a frightened child collects charms, by calling 3 people for the same answer, by running figures, by watching the pulse of the markets, the pulse at the wrist, the pulse of the weather. All that doing is a vote that says, this has power over me. And the more you vote, the more authority the suggestion seems to have. Do you see that? But there are not many powers. Not laws of nerves, not laws of heredity, not laws of news cycles, not laws of brain chemistry as final authority, not laws of climate or calendar, not laws of chance or contagion. There is but one law, one life, one being. God is individual being. God is your being. God is my being. And so, nothing can happen to me except what happens to God. And there are not 2 of us. This is not duality. This is merely the turning within to the fact of being as the law unto itself. When you stand there, where are the other laws? Where could they operate? On whom? Then how is anxiety met? Not by fixing a condition, not by wrestling a forecast, but by abiding where belief has no jurisdiction. I can of mine own self do nothing. Father, thou doest the works. I am a willing instrument. I'm willing to be still and let you be God. In that stance, quiet, receptive, undefensive, the suggestion may still knock, but it finds no door. You are resting in the consciousness of God as your being, and there the claim cannot attach. Thy grace is sufficient. That is the end of competition with appearances, and the beginning of freedom. Do you see that? Now we must give this revelation a doorway, and the doorway is small on purpose. 3 minutes. Why 3? Because the mind, which rebels against an hour and bargains against a half hour, can for 3 minutes tolerate surrender. It will not arrange a campaign against 3 minutes. It will not demand proof in advance. It will not say, what if I fail? For there is no great performance to fail. 3 minutes ends the bargaining. It says to the personal manager, sit over there. We are only going in for a moment. Do you see that? And in that moment, the center has a chance to announce itself. Not because you forced it, but because you stopped insisting on yourself. This is not self-hypnosis. This is not breath control heroics. This is not a trance or a technique with complicated moving parts. It is simply consciously withdrawing attention from personal striving and consenting to the fact we have already named. I can in my own self do nothing. Father, thou doest the works. God is individual being. God is your being. God is my being. We are not creating an interior theater. We are acknowledging an interior fact. No affirmations to convince God, no mantras to outshout the mind. A quiet, honest posture. I am a willing instrument. I'm willing to be still and let you be God. This is not duality. This is merely the turning within to let being be itself, as you. The schedule is the simplicity. Once in the morning, once at midday, once in the evening. 3 minutes each. No negotiation. Not, if I feel like it. Not, if the traffic is light. Not, if the house is quiet. If you must, pull the car over and close your eyes for 90 seconds and finish with them half open. Sit on the edge of the bed. Pause in the restroom at the office. 3 minutes. Turn within and whisper, if at all, only this: Father, here I am. I can of mine own self do nothing. Thou doest the works. Thy grace is sufficient. Then be still. Let the interval keep its boundary. When the 3 minutes are complete, open your eyes and go about your day. Why does such a small interval open such a large door? Because every time you keep this brief appointment, you train consciousness out of struggle and into surrender. The mind learns, safely, that it can release the reins and the world will not collapse. The heart learns that grace moves when uninvited by fear. The time-bound container lowers resistance. It quiets the drama. It ends the bargaining. And because it is brief and faithful, it is repeatable. Do you see that? In that repeatability, grace has a way of slipping past the guard and establishing itself as normal. But hear me. Hearing this is not the experience. Reading this is not the experience. As long as it remains in a talk, it is only literature. When you sit your 3 minutes, morning, midday, evening, you are embodying it. You are living the scripture. Be still and know. And little by little, you will notice that decisions clarify. The breath settles of its own accord. The jaw loosens. The atmosphere of hurry thins. Not because you mastered a method, but because you honored an appointment with what you are. God is individual being. God is your being. God is my being. Keep the 3 minutes and let that truth keep you. Do you see that? Now, because the mind likes to ask, well, what do I do in those 3 minutes? Let us put the interior words in place so that you can enter them without debate. Not as magic words, not as a charm, but as a posture of consent. Quietly, within yourself, you say, I am a willing instrument. I am willing to be still and let you be God. Then, without strain, you add, let thy grace be the sufficiency unto this moment, this mind, this body, this life. Do you see how that is not a petition to an outside power, but a yielding of the human sense to what already is? This is not duality. This is merely the turning within to let being be itself, as you. Say it simply, and say it slowly, and let it say you. I am a willing instrument. I am willing to be still and let you be God. Again, without trying to feel anything special, let the words loosen the grip of the personal manager. I am a willing instrument. I am willing to be still and let you be God. And then let the grace petition rest in you like a warm stone in the palm. Let thy grace be the sufficiency unto this moment, this mind, this body, this life. You are not trying to convince God. You are allowing the human sense to step off the stage. Do you follow that? Now, what about thoughts? They will come. They will do what waves do. Do not chase them. Do not judge them. Do not suppress them. If a wave rises, what am I going to do about Thursday? Let it break and return attention to the depth. Let your inward glance drop below the surface noise and remember, even wordlessly if you can, God is individual being. God is my being. I am a willing instrument. I'm willing to be still and let you be God. Thoughts are weather. Being is climate. Let weather pass. Rest as climate. If you like a rhythm, you may, in the first half minute, give the words a voice within. Father, here I am. I can of mine own self do nothing. Thou doest the works. I am a willing instrument. I am willing to be still and let you be God. Let thy grace be the sufficiency unto this moment, this mind, this body, this life. Then, for a minute, do nothing. Attend, not to thoughts, but to the fact of being. If the mind runs, do not grab it by the tail. Smile inwardly and let it run out of fuel. Return, gently. I am a willing instrument. Be still and let you be God. Do you see that? Do you feel the difference between forcing and yielding? If, in that interval, a sensation in the body insists on being the lead actor, let it be present without commentary and quietly included in the grace. Let thy grace be the sufficiency unto this moment, this mind, this body, this life. Not trying to change the sensation, not promising it a future, merely refusing to crown it king. The crown remains where it belongs, in the activity of grace realized as your being. God is individual being. God is your being. God is my being. And so the script installs not a method, but a stance. The human sense steps back. The instrument consents. Grace assumes its own. In the stillness that is not forced, the old compulsion to manage will tire and subside, and the quiet authority of I am will be felt as enough. Thy grace is sufficient. Let it be so. All right, let us take the 3 minutes together, and let us do it simply, step by step. Sit as you are, feet steady, hands easy, eyes softly closed or half closed. First minute, settle and consent. Father, here I am. I can of mine own self do nothing. Thou doest the works. I am a willing instrument. I am willing to be still and let you be God. Say it within, slowly, and then let the words rest as if they were a warm hand upon the heart. Notice, without scolding, the impulse to manage. Am I doing this right? When will I feel better? And let that impulse be met by the same consent. I am a willing instrument. I release the reins. Thy grace is the sufficiency unto this moment, this mind, this body, this life. Do you see that? We are not forcing the mind. We are allowing the manager to step down. This is not duality. This is merely the turning within to the fact. God is individual being. God is your being. God is my being. Second minute. Withdraw attention from the stream of thought and rest as I am before adjectives. Before anxious, before hurried, before roles and names, there is the quiet fact that you are. Not you are something, merely I am. Let attention sink there, as if awareness were settling from the surface into a deeper current. Thoughts may pass. Let them. They are weather. Being is climate. If a sentence forms, let it be simple. I and the Father are one. Or merely, I am. Then let even that subside into the felt aliveness without label. Do you follow that? We are not achieving silence. We are consenting to being. If a memory knocks, if a plan waves its hand, bow to it and return to the depth. God is individual being. God is my being. The breath finds its own rhythm. The jaw loosens of itself. The atmosphere widens. Stay with the fact, not with the traffic. Third minute. Abide in quiet receptivity. No reaching. A listening attitude without object. Speak, for thy servant heareth. Not listening for words, not for visions. simply for the activity of grace to announce itself in its own way. I can of mine own self do nothing. Father, thou doest the works. Thy grace is sufficient. Now notice the signs of right practice, not fireworks, not a sudden trance, but a softening at the edges, a little widening of space, a lessening of urgency, sometimes a warmth in the chest or hands, a tiny release at the back of the neck, a calm that doesn't argue. Sometimes it is only the absence of the old push. That is enough. Do you see that? These are not prizes to collect. They are footprints of grace as your being. Now, without grasping for one more second, let the interval complete itself. Carry nothing out as a trophy. No measuring, no verdict. Simply open the eyes softly, stand up if you must, and re-enter the day as a willing instrument. Let the fruit appear where it must appear, in a clearer answer, a kinder word, a steadier hand, without your arranging it. God is individual being. God is your being. God is my being. We withdraw attention into being and remain receptive. We do not achieve silence. We allow grace. That is our practice. Do you see that? Now, what happens when you step into your day and, 10 minutes later, the mind flares up again? Restless, argumentative, measuring. Do not call it failure. Do not call it you. That is the first correction. Restlessness is not your identity. It is a suggestion, a claim of world belief brushing past the door to see if anyone is home. Even seasoned students, those who have practiced for years, meet these waves. I meet them. The world beliefs of fear, hurry, insufficiency, self-importance still present themselves because they are not personal, they are universal currents. And so, repetition is not a sign of weakness, it is the law of embodiment. We do not read a scripture once and become it. We return and return until the returning becomes natural. Do you see that? When agitation rises, it is not proof the practice is failing. It is proof the ego sense, that imaginary manager self, has been uncovered by the light of your consent and does not like losing its job. It tries to reclaim the throne by urgency, by scolding, by fix it now. Let that recognition itself be comfort. If it protests, it is being seen. If it is being seen, it can be surrendered. The mistake, the common mistake, is to turn your 3 minutes into a performance to improve the anxious self. That enthrones the personal mind again. That says, I, as a separate being, will engineer my peace. No, this is not duality. This is merely the turning within to the fact. God is individual being. God is your being. God is my being. I can of mine own self do nothing. Father, thou doest the works. Thy grace is sufficient. And so, right in the spike, give yourself a reset. Quietly, inwardly. This is a claim, it is not law. God is the only law, and God is my being. Say it once or twice, not as a charm, but as a placement of attention. Then stop. Don't argue with the body. Don't negotiate with the picture. Return to the consent. I am a willing instrument. I'm willing to be still and let you be God. Let the atmosphere widen 1 inch. That inch is grace's doorway. Do you follow that? Now about discipline. If you miss a 3-minute interval, if a day goes by, do not punish yourself. That too is the ego trying to stay important by being the judge. No drama. return. Sit the next interval at the next opportunity. Not because the mood is right, not because you feel spiritual, but because the appointment is with what is, God as your being, not with your emotions. We are not dependent on a sunny sky to know the sun exists. Clouds are only passing forms. In the same way, moods are weather. Being is climate. And if you find yourself sitting, and the mind chatters like a market stall, do not pack up. Let it chatter. Label it correctly, a claim, not law, and rest again in the fact. God is individual being. God is my being. Each time you refuse to make restlessness your identity, a little of the old hypnotism breaks. Each time you refuse to turn practice into self-improvement, grace resumes its own activity. Little by little, and sometimes suddenly, the center holds without your holding it. That is the fruit of faithful returning. Do you see that? Now here is the turning, and it is felt rather than argued. There is a moment, sometimes soft as a sigh, sometimes like a thread loosening, when the tight hand of "I must fix me" opens, and without fanfare the inner sense changes to grace is present and active. That is the transition. Not a bigger, stronger you, but less of you as manager and more of the activity of the Christ as your being. Do you see that? It is not fireworks. It is a change of government. Where worry once held office, now there is a quiet recognition. I can of mine own self do nothing. Father, thou doest the works. And in that recognition, the atmosphere changes. The same room, the same body, the same calendar, yet different, because the authority has shifted. Understand this distinction, because it ends much disappointment. Understanding about truth is not the same as the activity of truth. You can read, you can memorize, you can even explain. Yet if, in the moment, help comes from you, it will fail you. But when help comes through you, as the activity of the Christ, it is impersonal, and so it is reliable. Peace that you manufacture must be defended. Peace that flows as grace sustains itself. One touch of the Christ is enough to raise the dead. Surely it is enough to still a racing mind. Do you follow that? Our function is not to produce the touch, but to yield the instrument. I am a willing instrument. I'm willing to be still and let you be God. Thy grace is sufficient. Now, why does this break anxiety? Because anxiety is a religion of the future. It worships control. It serves forecasts. It keeps a catechism of what if. Christ activity does not bargain with tomorrow. It establishes the now as holy and sufficient. Be still and know. Not be still and predict, not be still and guarantee. Be still and know. In that knowing, the compulsive leaning into next hour loses its fuel. The grace at hand is the sufficiency at hand. God is individual being. God is your being. God is my being. Nothing can happen to me except what happens to God, and there are not two of us. This is not duality. This is merely the turning within to the fact of being as law unto itself. And so, wherever you sit, your 3 minutes is sanctuary. Not because you brought candles, not because you found a holier corner, but because the place whereon you stand is holy ground. Why? Being is there. Not a far-off deity arriving on a cloud, but I and the Father are one realized. Kitchen chair, car seat, park bench. When you yield there, that place is altar. Do you see that? You will come to feel an atmosphere, not made by mood, a tenderness that says, I am here, and the body and mind learn that here is safe. Carry this into use. Before a decision, do not run to figures first. Turn within. Father, is this for us right now? Then wait the half breath until the yes or no is given. Not always as words, sometimes as a lean, a lift, or a quiet check. Before a difficult conversation, give the reins back. I can of mine own self do nothing. Thou doest the works. Let thy grace be the sufficiency unto this meeting. Before sleep, consecrate the night. I am a willing instrument. You be God as my rest. And when a panic surge rises, don't bargain with pictures. Stop, even for 30 seconds, and withdraw attention into being. This is a claim, not law. God is the only law, and God is my being. Then be still long enough for the impersonal peace to take the field. The breakthrough, then, is never personal mastery. It is the activity of grace, realized and allowed. And once tasted, even lightly, you will not wish to go back to the tyranny of self-management. Do you see that? Now let us take this where life tests us: money, health, relationships, and see that stillness is not a shrine apart from them. It is the light by which we walk through them. Stillness is meant to be applied. Decisions and actions become clearer, cleaner, and kinder when they rise from inner grace. Do you see that? Money first, because money talks loudly. A bill arrives, an opportunity comes knocking, a fear whispers, it won't be enough. The human reflex is to scramble. Figures, calls, bargains, worry loops. Not this time. First, turn within, even if only for 60 seconds. Father, is this for us right now? And then wait. Wait the half-breath for the yes or the no, for the lift or the check. Sometimes the guidance is, yes, proceed simply. Sometimes it is, no, not now. Sometimes, wait, let this ripen. Then act from that, not from panic, not from pride, not from proving that you can. This is not denial of arithmetic. It is the placement of arithmetic under grace. It may lead you to make a call, to negotiate kindly, to simplify, to accept a new avenue, to refrain from a hurried purchase. Not my planning, not my will, not my personal mind as Savior. Thy grace as sufficiency. God is individual being. God is your being. God is my being. From there, supply is revealed as idea, as opportunity, as timing, as right restraint. Do you follow that? Health now. A sensation surges. A diagnosis name echoes, and immediately the mind wants a fight. No. Refuse competition with symptoms. Meet the fear belief where it lives, within, and rest in the law of being. Quietly, this is a claim. It is not law. God is the only law, and God is my being. Then be still and let grace announce the next right step. Sometimes the step is rest. Sometimes it is seek skillful help. Sometimes it is change a habit. Sometimes it is simply release the fear. Do not turn stillness into magical denial. I'll ignore the body and prove something. This is not duality. This is merely the turning within to let the activity of the Christ govern the outward steps without strain. If an action is given, do it without drama. If silence is given, rest without worry. I can of mine own self do nothing. Father, thou doest the works. Relationships at last. For nothing stirs the manager self like people. Before the difficult talk, before the apology, before the boundary, stop rehearsing control. Sit 3 minutes first. I am a willing instrument. I am willing to be still and let you be God. Then enter the meeting as a listener. Let words rise from peace rather than defense. Sometimes you will speak clearly. Sometimes you will ask one sincere question. Sometimes you will allow a silence to do the work. Sometimes you will set a boundary without heat. Not my cleverness, not my argument, not my need to win. Thy grace be the sufficiency to this conversation. Do you see that? You are not using stillness to manipulate outcomes. You are withdrawing attention into being until love governs speech and timing. Now, hear this warning in love. Stillness is not a license to dodge responsibilities. It is not, God pays my rent while I spend carelessly. Not, grace will fix my relationship while I refuse to listen. Not, I will prove health by ignoring wise steps. No, stillness is the source of right action without strain. It does not remove the path, it reveals the next stone. And as you practice, a bill, a symptom, a conversation, you will notice the same pattern. The fear loosens, guidance clarifies, and the act that follows is simple, sufficient, and strangely free of after noise. God is individual being. God is your being. God is my being. From that recognition, everyday temptations are not battlegrounds. They are altars where grace becomes visible. Do you see that? Now we must face, lovingly but without compromise, the temptation that ruins more practice than any other. The temptation to lean on me, on a voice, on a book, on a recording, instead of turning to God within. Frankly, I can't do it for you, nor can the writings or the recordings do it for you. Do you see that? At their best, they point. At their very best, they awaken a remembrance. But the 3 minutes, your 3 minutes, no one can sit those for you. No teacher, no mentor, no holy person can yield your will, can consent for you, can place your attention inside your own being and say, here is God as your life. That must be you, and that is your freedom. There is a subtle dependency that dresses itself up as sincerity. It says, I'm just waiting for the right guided track. Or, when I fully understand the teaching, then I will start. Or, when I'm not so busy, when the house is quiet, when my mood is better, then I can really do it. All postponement, all bargaining. Each one says, peace must come to me from out there. It will not. It cannot. The peace that ends the argument arises when you withdraw attention into your own being and concede, I can of mine own self do nothing. Father, thou doest the works. God is individual being. God is your being. God is my being. This is not duality. This is merely the turning within to let the activity of the Christ be the only activity. Understand the role of a message like this. If it leaves you dependent on the voice, it has failed you, and I have failed you. If it makes you feel you must attend these meetings to be safe, it has failed. A man or a woman sins when they leave you believing that you, in any wise, need them. The only success here is if you discover you need nothing outside to enter your 3 minutes. No perfect chair, no perfect mantra, no perfect teacher. If I go not away, the Comforter will not come to you. The Comforter must come to you as you, as the inner witness that says, I am here, I am sufficient. So let us make a vow, quietly, and make it practical. Within yourself, I need seek nothing outside. I turn within and let grace be sufficient. Again, I need seek nothing outside. I turn within and let grace be sufficient. Not as pride, not as isolation, but as the humble recognition that the place whereon I stand is holy ground, because God is my being. Do you see that? And because God is my being, guidance, supply, and peace flow from within to expression, never the other way around. I will go on speaking as long as it is given to speak. But do not mistake the finger for the moon. Take the 3 minutes into your own hands. Keep the appointment. And now, because practice, not talk, embodies truth, we will enter the second interval. This time we shall allow one specific anxiety to stand at the door while we withdraw attention into being and watch how grace dissolves its claim without a fight. Come as you are. Bring nothing to fix. Be only willing to be still and let God be God. Do you follow that? All right, take your seat as you are, and let us do this together. Bring to mind one present anxiety, only one, and do not hand it a story. Just name the claim to yourself as you would label a file. Meeting at 9, bill due, scan next week. The silence in that relationship. No embroidery, no courtroom. Place it, as it were, just outside the door, in view but not invited in. Do you see that? We are not denying, we are refusing to crown it. God is individual being. God is your being. God is my being. This is not duality. This is merely the turning within to let the activity of the Christ be the only activity. Now the first minute. Acknowledge and release ownership. Quietly within say, this is not mine to manage. It is a suggestion, and I rest in being. Again, without strain, this is not mine to manage. It is a suggestion, and I rest in being. Then place yourself under the law of grace. I can of mine own self do nothing. Father, thou doest the works. I am a willing instrument. I am willing to be still and let you be God. If thought tugs at the door with, but what if? Recognize the tug as weather. Let it pass. Rest as climate. Do you follow that? We are removing the false owner. We are refusing the role of manager. Second minute. Let the grace petition fill the room, slow and honest. Let thy grace be the sufficiency unto this situation, this moment, this mind. Let thy grace be the sufficiency unto this body, this life. Say it once and allow it to echo. Do not hurry to say it again. Let the words do the placing, and then be still. We are not bargaining. We are yielding the field. If a picture flashes, nod and return to the petition, one clause at a time, like laying warm cloth over a fever. Let thy grace be the sufficiency unto this situation, this moment, this mind. God is individual being. God is my being. Do you see how ownership weakens when sufficiency is not personal? Third minute. No more words unless they rise of themselves. A listening attitude without object. Allow a softening at the edges, a loosening at the back of the neck, a widening of space around the very place that seemed tight. If nothing is felt, do not measure. Absence of strain is already grace at work. Let the breath choose its own length. Let thought chatter if it must. Do not invite it to tea. I and the Father are one. Thy grace is sufficient. This is not doing. This is consenting. This is not analysis. This is being. Do you see that? Now seal it, simply and once. Be still and know. Leave the claim outside the door where you placed it. Do not drag it down the hall. Open the eyes softly and return to your day as a willing instrument. No verdict, no post-mortem. Let any needed action rise from the quiet. Yes, make the call. No, not today. Wait. And let it be done without strain. God is individual being. God is your being. God is my being. Even here, even with that, grace is the sufficiency. Now let us make this plain and livable. A rule, not as bondage, but as liberty. For the next 30 days, keep one small appointment with your own being. 3 minutes a day, and if you can, 3 times a day. Morning, midday, evening. That is all. No measuring after each sitting, no post-mortem, no grade. Sit, consent, rise. Do you see that? The farmer does not dig up the seed after each rain to check its roots. He keeps the seasons and trusts the law. This is not duality. This is merely the turning within, regularly, to let grace be the activity and to let the human sense stop running the farm. What may you expect? Not fireworks. Fruit. In the first week, you may notice a little less urgency, like loosening the belt 1 notch. The spikes may still come, but you recover faster. The afterstorm is shorter. By the second week, the inner talk grows kinder. Fewer scoldings, fewer shoulds, more, let's sit a minute. Small, clear impulses appear, yes here, no there, without debate. Catastrophe thinking loses some color. The worst-case movie does not look so persuasive. By the third week, a felt atmosphere gathers, a hush available even in the market and the inbox. You may find yourself pausing naturally before replying, hearing what is asked beneath the words. By the fourth week, you will recognize that the peace is not something you produce, it is something you return to. Anxiety has not vanished from the world's weather, but it has lost authority over your house. Do you see that? Why repetition without apology? Because the human sense returns. It always returns until it weakens through lack of enthronement. The battle is not with a condition out there. It is with the belief that a separate self must manage everything. Each time you turn within, you deny that enthronement and you strengthen the pathway. Think of a footpath through tall grass. Walk it daily and it becomes a way. Miss a day and the grass stands up again. No guilt, just walk it once more. We meet the claim where it lives and we place it under law. I can of mine own self do nothing. Father, thou doest the works. Thy grace is sufficient. So here is the daily rule. Keep the 3 minutes. If you miss, return without drama. Do not report to yourself after each sitting. Simply keep the appointment. Once a week, glance back and notice the gentle markers. Reduced urgency, quicker recovery, kinder inner speech, clearer impulses, less catastrophizing. Let that be enough. And carry this simple declaration in your pocket through the hours. Say it in the kitchen, in the car, in the doorway of a hard moment. God is my being. Thy grace is sufficient. I am a willing instrument. Say it once, mean it, and then be still. It will become so simple that even a child can do it. Because it is not achievement, but surrender. We lay down the toys of self-management and let being be itself, as us. 3 minutes a day becomes a life, because grace, once welcomed, makes a home and abides. Do you see that?